have to trespass anymore. I got my own property now.
Here's an aerial shot we took of it. So you'll see.
Oh, great.
In the plane.
This was supposed to be my 42-acre dream property, but it turned into a nightmare. Bug out motor. I've been looking for a rural property with a lot of acres, with ATV trails and a nice little house for a very long time, but they get snapped up really fast, especially in this market that we're in right now. I even went down to North Carolina and was checking out some properties in the North Carolina mountains, and I came across this absolute gem, 40 plus acres with a private pond, ATV trails, screened in gazebo. It even has a bathhouse. It has 1 mile of river frontage. Has an extra trailer cottage there. Even has multiple storage structures here with a workshop. It even comes with riding lawnmowers, a golf cart, a snowmobile. And then that dream started to turn into a nightmare. First off, the seller's agent, who was clearly representing the seller in his best interest and to screw me over and get the best deal ever for this owner, she would not even show me inside the house or any of the buildings on the property. She said only he had the key and he would only show it on Saturday, which was like 4 days away. Meanwhile, I'm locked in a contract and I only have like 3 to 4 days to get out of the contract. So by Saturday, when I meet him, I'll be locked into a contract. Okay, so I meet him and he says, "Congratulations on purchasing the property." I'm thinking, man, I didn't even see inside the house or the buildings yet. I hope I didn't make a mistake. And by the way, I made a ton of mistakes here, guys. Never follow your heart. Use your brain. Use common sense. I did not. So I learned a tough lesson here. But anyways, I go inside the house. It looks really nice inside. But I go in the basement. It's got a really strong musty smell. And the first thing he says, he uses this powerful fan to get rid of the musty stank in there. First thing in my mind is this place has got mold. I want to have a mold check done, which they absolutely refuse to do, by the way. And but the biggest issue with this property, guys, is that the pond is the water source for the house. Yes, the drinking water, bathing water, wash your dishes. And this pond, you have to treat the algae every 2 weeks. According to the owner, you have to spray this special chemical on there. And mind you, this, like I said, this is the water you're drinking and bathing in, although it does have a filter system in the basement. Do you really trust that filter system to clean that water from that pond, man? He even said he doesn't drink the water. So, by the way, they didn't disclose that in the disclosure statement. And there was some other things they didn't disclose as well. And that was my way out of this deal, by the way. But then he takes me over to the trailer cottage, that I thought that was a nice little trailer. I'm like, wow, it got me a little. They made it seem like it was so great, this cozy little cottage. And you know what, guys? He opened it up and it's absolute old, crappy junk trailer with old crap in there, cobwebs. It had an animal's nest in there. It smelled musty and funky. I'm like, dude, this needs to get trailered out of here, which they refuse to do, by the way. Then he takes me to the garage, and there's woodpecker damage on the front, which he points out, and which was not disclosed on the disclosure statement. And then we go in the garage. I'm thinking I'm getting a cool extra snowmobile for free and golf cart. And the golf cart actually worked pretty good, even though it looked crappy. And the riding lawnmowers were in good shape. But that snowmobile was crap, man. He said you turn it on and it leaks oil and smokes and you gotta let it run for 10 minutes and then it's good or something. I'm like, dude, this dude's leaving junk with me, man. But anyways, and then he takes me to the storage, that extra storage trailer deal, and there's a bunch of junk in there, man. And really just leaving all this junk with me and charging me maximum price for the property. And also the seller tried to screw me out of the timber and mineral rights. I told them I wouldn't buy the property without it. They said, yeah, you can get it. And then the seller's agent conveniently left it out of the contract, and I told her, you need to put it in. So she put it in, had me sign it, and then come to find out 2 days later, she didn't have them sign it. So I made her have them sign it, and I'm like, man, they're pulling some shady stuff here, man. What is this? So to make a long story short, when I got home after the tour, I requested that they allow me to have a mold test performed on the house, and that mold test has to show that there's no dangerous mold in the house before I proceed buying this house. Also mention a few items that they forgot to disclose in the disclosure statement, which is by law they had to do. such as the woodpecker damage on the garage, that the algae in the pond, which is the water source for the house, that has to be treated every 2 weeks. Also, there was some buried storage tanks on the property. They refused to do a mold test. And also, they refuted the items I said they forgot to disclose. They said I should have been able to see the storage tanks in the ground. They're buried, mind you. So you can't see. You don't know what that is. And they say I could clearly see that there was algae in the pond. I don't even know what algae is. I'm not a water expert. That's something they have to disclose in the disclosure statement because it is a water source for the house. By law, if it's the drinking water source, they have to disclose if there's any type of material damage, to the water. So they didn't do that, and that basically, because they didn't disclose these items, this allowed me pretty much to get out of this contract. But they actually threatened to sue. He said that if I don't buy the house, they're going to sue and basically force me to buy the house, which I thought was ridiculous. So the next day I contacted my real estate attorney, and he told me that in his 20 years of being a real estate attorney, that usually the jury will always side with the buyer, especially when there's things that were not disclosed in the disclosure statement. He told me most of the time this doesn't even go to trial, that it's settled beforehand. He said just give them some of the earnest money and have them sign a mutual release, and bada boom, bada bing. So that's what I did. I offered to give $1,000, which I think was very generous. So basically I paid $1,000 for this tour of the property, and they accepted, but they want me to sign first. So we're like at a stalemate because they won't sign, which I'm not falling for that crap again. Last time I did that, they didn't sign, and it was like 3 or 4 days later, and I almost missed out on getting the timber and mineral rights. So I don't know what games they're playing. The seller's agent's playing games, man. It's really unprofessional. I learned some hard lessons here, guys. Never go through a seller's agent. Always get a buyer's agent. The seller's agent will look out for the best interests of the seller and try to screw you as a buyer over. So don't ever do that, guys. And also, always get a property inspection, no matter what. No matter how much you love the property and you want to make your offer attractive, always include that inspection no matter what. And also, even have a real estate attorney go over the contract before you sign it. I tell you, this will never happen to me again, and I will be 100% thorough on any property I get going forward. So, hey, tell me, would you have bought this property anyhow? Leave a comment. Let's talk about it.
I don't know where I'll go next, but I want to go look at some other properties.
West Virginia, baby.
Don't forget to subscribe to my All-in-One Motorcycle channel over at youtube.com/Cycle Cruiser. And also like me at Facebook. Catch you guys later.